All right, welcome back. You probably remember this last episode. We pulled the front clip off, pulled the interior out. This time around, what we're gonna be focusing on is pulling the motor and the trans, getting the engine bay clear, and assessing what the frame situation looks like, probably pressure washing that. Once we get this out of the way, then we can assess what it's gonna take to pull the cab off and take care of these cab corners. So this cab corner is pretty, or I guess cab mount, if you will, is pretty rusted out. The other one is not so bad. It's got a little bit of rust here, so I might replace that as well. Reason being is the floor pan on this side is, I mean, you can see daylight through there. And the other one's not much better. So when those are coming out, it's gonna be a lot easier to do these as well at the same time. And they're pretty inexpensive, honestly. So I guess do it right or do it twice. I can't remember. I knew at one point what kind of trans this had in it. It's a 4-speed manual. First gear's a granny. I've been doing a lot of looking into the TKX. It's a 5-speed with the 5th being the 1 overdrive. It looks pretty appealing. It's a little bit pricey, almost $3,000 just for the trans itself. But I mean, really in the grand scheme of things, if it's gonna make the truck work better and be more enjoyable to drive, we're probably gonna put a little bit of money into the motor as well and do like a Sniper or EFI, I think. Maybe a little bit of top end work, get a little bit more horsepower out of it. I think that trans is just gonna make the entire thing a little bit nicer to drive. So hopefully that's the plan as of right now. You guys know how plans go. So let's get to it. All right, so I didn't realize my phone died halfway through the last bit, but I got the motor pulled out, got the flex plate off, gonna pull the trans right now, and then analyze what it's gonna take to get all this off. Basically, what I'm gonna try to do is replace the cab mounts while it's still on the frame. That way I can keep them lined up exactly where they need to be. You can see they're all just super rusted out. Same thing with this one. This one's not as bad, but it's on its way. And so I'm gonna replace those. I've got them ordered, so they should be here soon. As soon as those get here, I'll work on getting those in and then tacked. And then I can pull the cab off the frame and weld them in. That's about right. Now that I've got an inventory of everything that I needed, I went on LMC and got everything ordered. I went with LMC, though I'm sure there's other places that are cheaper. The shipping ended up being a lot less, like a couple $100 less through LMC than it was some of these other places. So it actually ended up being a little bit less expensive. I got new floor pans, cab corners. This will go here. You can see how that's all rusted out. Cab mounts. They have a couple different styles. This one's a little bit more expensive. Well, it's about double the cost. They have some that are just stamped out of one piece of metal. And then this is kind of that OEM style. You can see how this has got that flange here. Same thing with there. So I think just doing some looking and reading, I think that these are going to be tougher They're a little bit thicker metal as well. So I got those. Again, another cab corner for the other side. Radiator mounting hardware. And then this is all new. What did I get here? Hold on. Oh, cab mounting kit. So this has my bushings and all new bolts and everything, because I'm sure those are shot. What this is, here, I'll show you in just a sec, but this goes under the fender here, or excuse me, under the bed. That's this guy right here. I'm sure I could have made do on the other side. This one was definitely all rusted out, and I thought, if I'm doing this now, I might as well just do it right. So that'll be replaced. I got new bedside patches here. Can't remember which one goes where. Oh wait, that's the wrong side. So we'll cut this all out. Oh yeah, that's the right one. So we'll cut this all out and get it all set in there and burnt in. For these, I got a tool off of Eastwood. Again, I'm sure a lot of you guys are going, you don't need to do this, but for me, who's inexperienced, I think it's gonna be better. You can see here that it crimps and it tapers the sheet metal. And from what I understand, it's gonna make a stronger hold because you can lay your bead in there more flush. And that way, when you go to grind it down, you're not grinding away all of your weld. Again, for me, who's kind of an idiot, it's gonna be better, but there was this one that's pneumatic, and I wanna say it was like, I don't know, 70 or 80 bucks. Eastwood had a little sale going on for shipping, or I can't remember what it was, and then there was a manual one for like half that. And for me, for time's sake, I think this is the one we're gonna go with. And it's got the taper side here, that'll crimp down. And this one's got your hole punch for all your spot welds. Well, spot welds. So I think that's gonna come in handy over here as we're tapering that off, and then we're able to get that all welded in. I'm a little bit nervous, if I'm gonna be honest, about doing this. I've never done it before. Hoping I don't screw something up, but I guess I figure worst case scenario, I then have to buy a whole new bedside, which is a few $100, but I'm gonna give this a shot first. Other than that, I'm really excited to be able to get going. The part that I forgot to order was this guy right here. I didn't realize that was all rusted out until I got to cleaning the door seal off. And that's when I saw that was all rusted out. So I'll have to order that in and get a new one coming, but that really shouldn't be too bad. The other thing I'm a little bit concerned about, I need to do some looking, is this is really rusted out. Now, I don't know if I'm able to salvage it or not. Maybe I can weld some tabs to reinforce it, but if you look on the other side, it is toasted. All right, so far I think I'm getting pretty lucky. None of these are super seized up. Those are pulling out. I'm gonna put them back in there just to keep everything lined up for now. I just used the air hammer, busted that out. That way I could get the wrench in there, and that worked out pretty good. Next thing we're gonna do, and I'll just put you on a time lapse because there's probably gonna be a lot of thinking and learning because I've never done this, but we're gonna test fit the floor pan, make sure it's right size and everything, and then I think what we're gonna do is cut somewhere in here and across. I'm not totally certain yet. And across, and then we'll probably do it like right along this line, all the way around like that. That way I can cut more if I need to, but we'll start with that and then go from there. Right here, all I'm doing is drawing out a quick line and marking it with blue tape before I start cutting. I decided to drill out these spot welds. I'm using some cutting fluid, which made my drill bit last a lot longer. And as long as you find most of them, it's okay. If you're not trying to salvage the sheet metal, where I wasn't, drill out the majority of them, and then you can use the air hammer on the rest. Right here, you're gonna see that I use a couple different methods. I use the Sawzall with a metal blade for the straight areas. I found it was easier to keep it straight and cool. And then I'd use the die grinder or the angle grinder to get the spot started. Going around the corners was a little bit tricky. At this point, I hadn't purchased an air, what do they call them? It's basically like a mini Sawzall that's a pneumatic. Anyway, I hadn't purchased one of those yet. I used one of those on the other side, and that thing's a no-brainer. Just have a couple different spot welds to drill out, and then by using the air hammer, I was able to chip out the rest and get it out. That was a learning experience. So I got it all cut out, got all the welds drilled out for the most part. I'm gonna tell you right now, if anybody's doing this, pick yourself up one of these air hammers. I think it was like, I don't know, maybe 50 bucks or something from Harbor Freight. It is a game changer. So, I mean, obviously you drill out all the welds first, but then just come in there and just pops them apart. I think this is as far back as I need to go. Can you tell that I have no idea what I'm doing? So I'm going to, this is the plan. I think I'm going to put this piece down, buy myself some space, so cut it large, get a rough outline, cut off this lip here, get a rough outline, and then go and start fitting it in here. Try to get it close, and then we can get it clamped in there and tacked in. All right, you can see I got the other side all cut out. Over here, I've got to get a new little cab corner or whatever that's called, replaced over there. But I've got this one set in, ready to go. I'm gonna put a couple spot welds in, lift this side up, and then hit it with a weld through primer. And then we'll put it down and weld it in. As you can see, I got a lot of these tacked in. I got it tacked across there, put some weld through primer on it. I definitely didn't get things as close as I'd wished in some areas. Obviously this is my first time, but I can fill it in. It'll just take a lot of time. So I'll save you guys the pain and come back when I'm finished. Got that floorboard all welded in. You can tell I'm not a great welder because I grounded a ton, but I got it grounded down and flat disked it. And now I'll just need to grind the bottom. I've got a couple pinholes that I need to fill, and then we'll put the cab mount in. I won't show you me doing that side since it's pretty much the same. But at this point, just a quick update. I am learning that I'm in over my head. So I think with enough time, I can easily get most of this figured out myself. But we're running into a little bit of a time crunch. My goal is to have this done by the end of 2025. And I don't think I'm gonna be able to do it all on my own. So the new plan, as of right now, is to get the inside of the cab, the floorboards put in, the cab mounts put on, and then the cab off the frame, and restore the whole frame. And after that, I'll put the cab and the bed back on and take this into a local body shop and have them handle the whole exterior. I thought I was gonna handle all of the rust on the wheel wells, and I can't tell if it's my equipment or my skill level, most likely my skill level, but I'm having a heck of a time welding this sheet metal with my little 110 welder that I have over here. And this truck is really important to me, and I really just don't want to mess it up beyond repair. So it's worth it to me to just pay the money and have somebody that knows how to do it, knock it out. I've got all the pieces here. I'll take into them and let them do the fill work. New tubs underneath here that are all rusted out, but I just think it's going to be a better result. And for me, it's worth money to have it done correctly than to look at it and regret mistakes and be picking apart my own work all the time. So I just finished welding this top row of welds here. Don't judge me. I think they'll hold. If you can see down in that hole, you might not be able to. The hole's misaligned. It's actually forward. Well, the mount is back about a quarter or half an inch. So I'm gonna take the weight off the cab. I'm gonna jack it up again, hook a ratchet strap onto this guy, and then tie it to the back of the frame, somewhere back here, and then click it down. And hopefully that'll pull that to where it's snugged up under there, and then I can finish spot welding all of that. The reason that I'm trying to mount these while the cab's still on is so that everything stays aligned. I don't want to try to get these on here and then have to put the cab back on the frame. So it's a little bit of up and down, but I think it's easier than trying to take the cab off, put the cab on, and try to measure like crazy to try to, make sure it's all square. This is probably going to be a little bit more foolproof. Okay, you can see that we got that all welded in. I've got a couple spots under there that I'm gonna finish welding out after I have the cab off, but it's holding in place. And if you can see this now, maybe not, but you can see that hole is perfectly lined up which is exactly what we wanted. So now all I have to do is repeat on the other side, but I showed you this side. I don't think we need to go through that. So that's it for this video. In the next one, you'll see that this is finished out. I'm gonna cut out this little guy. I have a new one of these here. You can see how it's all rusted out, but I bought a new one of these. I'll cut that out, put a new floor pan in, and then hopefully at that point we can pull off this cab and start restoring the frame.